Okay, so day 6. Like I said in class, we're skipping day 5 because that's complex fractions. And complex fractions is not one of the lessons that must be taught. So if we have time at the end of the year, I will go ahead and show that to you in case you ever need to see it. Okay, the do now we'll do in class as an example tomorrow. So let's start with number 1. So solve and you're going to give evidence that your solutions are correct. That simply means to check it. Okay? So there's 2 different ways that you can solve these problems. One way is by canceling out the denominator. And I'm not going to show that this year because it gets confusing and students think that you can cancel anytime. And you really can't. So I'm going to teach it to you by multiplying everything to get a common denominator and then showing you what happens, okay? So we're going to start this just like we do as if this was all addition. What is my common denominator or least common denominator, least common multiple? Okay, it would be 6. So that means this x over 2 would need a 3 over 3, plus the 1/3 would need 2 over 2, and the 5 over 6 needs nothing. Okay, so my new denominator is 6. So this is already 6, this is already 6. So my numerator, remember in class we amoeba that, is x times 3, which is 3x, plus 1 times 2 is 2. So it's 3x plus 2. Okay, so now here comes the special part. If you ever see an equal sign and these denominators match each other, then you can cancel them out. Okay? That's the only time you can do this. Because 5 over 6 would have to equal something over 6, then this something must equal 5, correct? So your new equation is nice and easy. It is simply 3x plus 2 equals 5. Move the 2 over, we get 3x equals 3. Divide, we get x equals 1. Okay? So the evidence to show that that is the correct answer is simply substitute it back into the equation. 1 over 2, the 1 is what the x was, plus 1 over 3 equals 5 over 6. And I'm going to let you do those checks in the calculator. Okay? All right, so on to the next one. Solve this equation. Now, the old way that you used to do this was just by doing cross products. You remember that? You did that in Algebra 1. I'm not going to show it that way because I don't want you confusing cross multiplying with any of the fraction stuff we've already done. Okay? So we're going to do the same thing we just did on the last problem. I have x plus 3 over 12, and then I have a 5 over 6. Well, I need common denominators. My common denominator is 12. So I would need to multiply this side by 2 over 2. So that this side is now 12. Once I have both of them being the same with only when there's an equal sign, then I can cancel it. And my new equation is really x plus 3 equals 10. So x equals 7. Okay, and again, you would just substitute the 7 back into the original. Okay, and you can check these in the calculator. Put this side in the calculator, put this side in the calculator, make sure they equal each other. Okay, so the next one, remember this is locked in. So what is my common denominator? Or least common denominator? It is x and x minus 2, just like when we did the addition-subtraction unit. And just like from the beginning of this unit, our undefined is that x cannot be 0 and x cannot be 2. Because if x was 0 or 2, this being 0, this side would be undefined. This being a 2, this would be undefined. Okay? So we didn't have to do that in these because there were no variables in the denominators. So let's get our common denominator. So we have a 3 over x. It is missing the x minus 2. the 8 over x minus 2 is missing the x. So this, we distribute the numerator, we get 3x minus 6 over x times x minus 2. And this side is 8x over x times x minus 2. I mean, you could distribute the denominators, but you don't need to. You can keep them factored, okay? So what you see here is an equal sign, and the denominators are the same. We said the rule is only if there's an equal sign. If these are the same, you can cancel them, and now you have a simple equation to solve. Move this over, we get 5x. And now divide, we get x, I've run out of room, sorry, is equal to a negative 6 over 5. Okay? When you divide both sides by 5. Now, make sure you always check this when there's a variable that has undefined. If this here was either one of these, it would have to be rejected. It doesn't. Okay? So this is your final answer. And of course, you should sub it back in. A negative 6 over 5 here, a negative 6 over 5 here. Make sure this side equals this side in the calculator. Okay? So that brings us to the next one. Well, this one we have to factor. So this is a plus 2, a minus 2. So we see that this one needs this one needs this. But again, there are variables in the denominator, so my common denominator is a plus 2, a minus 2. And because we have these common denominators with variables in it, we need to state our undefined. A cannot equal negative 2 or positive 2. So I'm just going to write it this way. Okay? So let's get our common denominators. So this 1 over a plus 2 is missing the a minus 2. And the 1 over a minus 2 is missing the a plus 2. And the 4 is not missing anything. It has them both. Okay? So just like in addition, we have a new denominator on this side that is common. And I'm going to amoeba the numerator. It's 1 times a, 1 times negative 2, so it's a minus 2 plus a plus 2 equals 4 over that same a plus 2, a minus 2. This can combine, the 2's cancel, and I get 2a over a plus 2, a minus 2, equal to 4 over a plus 2, a minus 2. Okay, that's as far as I could go with anything getting common denominators, with adding, subtracting, with any of that. So now I try to solve it. Well, if there's an equal sign here, and I've gotten these to match, then my equation is really just 2a equals 4. Divide both sides, we get a equals 2. And here is where it's important. Here is where this, you're telling me the answer is 2, but up here, the undefined told us a could not equal 2. So because of that, this has to get rejected because it is an extraneous root. You've heard us talk about that before when we did solving radical equations, okay? So because this was the only answer and the only answer got rejected, your actual answer to this problem is no solution or the null set or empty set, okay? All right, so let's do the next one. So I have, I have a common denominator that's going to be 12x, And we've already talked about how to get those common denominators. So if you're having trouble with that, make sure you come for help, okay? And 12x would give me an undefined of 0. Okay, not negative or positive 12 because there's no plus or minus here. It's just plain old 0. So this one, I'm going to go kind of a shortcut here. This one just needs the 4. This one needs the 3x. And this one needs the 12. Okay, so this now has 12x as a denominator for everything. So this side has a 12x, and this side has a 12x. This side equals 36, and this side equals 16 plus 15x. 16 from 4 times 4, and the 15x. Again, we have an equal sign. We can eliminate those. So my actual equation is 16 plus 15x equals 36. So 15x equals, subtract that, we're going to get 20. Divide both sides by 15, and we get 20 over 15, which is really 4/3. The 4/3 does not match with this 0, so this is our answer. Okay, again, you should always check it in the calculator. Replace every x with 4/3 and make sure it checks. Okay? All right, last one. This is b plus 3, b minus 3. I know this lesson's a little long, but it's a long topic, sorry. Okay? And we have a common denominator of b plus 3 and b minus 3. So b cannot equal a positive or a negative 3, otherwise it would be an undefined problem, okay? So this one is missing the b minus 3. We know my denominator should be b plus 3, b minus 3. So I'm going to show you a last little shortcut here. This one is missing this, so it's really just 7 times b minus 3. This one is missing the b plus. Okay? So that's a shortcut that you can do. If you don't understand it, I'll show it again in class. No worries. Okay? But if you take that extra step in between, you'll see what I just did. So this is now 7b minus 21. And a positive 5b plus 15. So that gives me 12b minus 6 equal to 10b minus 2. Right here, there was an equal sign and common denominators, so I'm jumping ahead of myself and canceling it out, just to show you how you can kind of shorten the problem if you want, okay? Now start solving this. This moves over, I get 2b. This moves over, and I get 4, which gives me b equal to 2. If I plug in a 2, this side should equal this side, and it doesn't match my undefined, so it doesn't get rejected. Okay? All right. Rewatch any of this. Make sure you copy everything down. I know it's difficult. It is a tough unit. A tough lesson in this unit. Okay? I'll see you tomorrow.